Okay, so if you run an e-commerce store, you know the power of Google Ads, but you probably also know the fear, right? That pit in your stomach fear of getting that one single email, the one that can just turn your business off like a light switch. Well, today we're going to dive right into what that email is, why it happens, and most importantly, how AI can pretty much guarantee you never have to see it again.
Yep, this right here. This is the sentence that strikes absolute terror into the heart of, well, every online seller. It just shows up completely out of the blue, no warning. One minute your sales are humming along just fine, and the next, silence. Total silence. So, what does it even mean?
And this is the part that drives everybody nuts: misrepresentation. I mean, it sounds like you're being accused of being some kind of fraud, right? It's so vague, it's scary, and it just leaves you completely scratching your head wondering, what on earth did I do wrong?
The impact? It's immediate, and it is absolutely brutal. Your Google Shopping ads, the lifeblood of your store, they're just gone. Your revenue, it flatlines, drops to zero. You try to appeal, and what do you get? A robotic copy-paste rejection. It really feels like you've just hit a brick wall.
But here's the secret, okay? You're not banned for life. It's not the end of the world. We just need to understand what Google's bots are actually looking for. See, it all comes down to something called trust signals. So let's decode what misrepresentation really means.
And this totally reframes the problem. The vast majority of the time, a misrepresentation flag, it's not actually about fraud. It's about data. It just means your website is failing to provide those simple, clear signals of legitimacy that Google's automated systems are programmed to look for. And the good news? That's a totally fixable problem. In fact, most suspensions boil down to just 3 critical areas. That's it, and we're going to walk through them right now. First, your website's footer. Second, your shipping policies. And third, the integrity of your product data. Seriously, get these 3 things right, and you are 90% of the way to solving this for good.
All right, first up, the footer. Just think of this as your business's ID card for Google's bots. It's literally the first place they look, so everything here has to be perfect. You've got to have a real physical address, and no, P.O. boxes don't count. You need a phone number that actually works when they call it. Your email has to be on your own domain, so something like support@yourstore.com, not a generic Gmail address. And here's a small but super critical detail. The little payment icons you show, they have to perfectly match the options you actually offer at checkout.
Okay, next up is shipping. And listen, this is the golden rule. In the eyes of Google, inconsistency is death. I'm not kidding. If your ad says 3-day shipping, but your website says ships in 2 weeks, that is a massive red flag. If you sneak in a surprise handling fee at the very last step of checkout, yep, another red flag. What the user sees on the ad is exactly what they must get at the end. No exceptions.
And finally, let's talk about data integrity. You guys, this one is a huge deal. If you sell products from established brands, think Nike, Sony, whatever, you absolutely must include the correct valid barcodes. We're talking about the GTINs or UPCs. You have to put those in your product feed. Using fake ones or just leaving them out entirely is one of the absolute fastest ways to get your account flagged as a fraudulent seller.
So you could spend your weekends manually checking all this stuff, right? Fighting with endless spreadsheets, trying to keep up with Google's constantly changing, confusing interface. But that just puts you squarely in the manual management trap. And you end up spending way more time fighting the platform than you do actually, running your business.
And really, this illustrates the 2 paths you can take. On one side, you've got the manual guesswork. We're talking endless UI grunt work. The super high risk of clicking one wrong checkbox and just burning thousands in ad budget. And you're always just reacting to old data. But on the other side, you've got autonomous growth. It's guided, it's optimized from the get-go, and it's driven by data in real time.
So, how do you get over to that right side of the screen? Well, this is where an AI copilot, something like Aimey, comes into play. It's basically designed to be a set-and-forget engine that focuses on one thing and one thing only: your return on ad spend, or ROAS.
And getting started really couldn't be any simpler. You don't need to be some kind of technical expert at all. You just pop in your website's URL, and the AI immediately gets to work, taking you from zero to a fully fleshed out campaign strategy in, like, 2 minutes.
So while that's happening, in the background, Aimey is doing all the heavy lifting for you. It's analyzing your entire site, your product descriptions, your images, even figuring out your target audience, all to build a custom marketing campaign that's tailored for maximum impact.
And instead of just throwing you into some super complex dashboard with a million buttons, Aimey creates these really simple quests. Think of it like a guided step-by-step checklist. It just makes sure your entire setup, from your business profile all the way to your campaign assets, is perfectly structured for growth, and, this is the crucial part, that it's compliant with all of Google's rules.
So, okay, how does this actually solve our problems and drive growth? Well, it starts with a 24/7 feed doctor that constantly watches your product data for those critical errors we talked about, basically stopping suspensions before they can even happen. Then, it automatically builds powerful asset groups for your Performance Max campaigns. And most importantly, all of its bidding is based purely on your return on ad spend. That means it only spends your money on what is actually making you a profit.
And the thing is, it never stops working. It's like having your own dedicated AI media buyer working 24/7, making dozens of tiny, data-driven tweaks to your campaigns around the clock. It's constantly adjusting bids, reallocating budgets, and refining keywords, so you can get back to, well, running your actual business.
And all of this builds up to the real payoff. Because look, the goal isn't just to survive Google's rules, it's to actually scale your business. And the result is beautifully simple: more profit for a whole lot less work. So, how much more profit are we talking about? Well, on average, users see a 35% uplift in their return on ad spend. That's a direct 35% increase in how profitable your advertising is.
And how much less work? This one's pretty staggering. An 80% reduction in all those manual, time-sucking tasks that go into managing a Google Ads account. I mean, that's time you get back to focus on your products, your customers, and your big picture strategy.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Here's a real-world example. Let's say your store spends about 8,000 euros a month on ads. Now, a typical agency might charge you a 1,500 euro retainer plus a 15% commission. That'll cost you 2,700 euros every single month. Aimey, for the exact same ad spend, it's just 469 euros. The difference is massive.
And what does that difference add up to over a full year? Over 26,000 euros. I mean, think about that. That's pure profit that goes directly back into your pocket or back into growing your business instead of just paying for some agency's overhead.
So really, it all just boils down to this one question. Why would you keep paying these hefty retainers for manual work and, let's be honest, guesswork, when you can leverage AI to get better, more profitable results and truly own your own growth?